This is a tutorial on how to set up your seating chart. This version is version 12. I know most of my version recordings have been on version 19, but for this example, I'm going to be using version 12. There's no difference between the two versions as far as setting up your seating chart. So in order to set up a seating chart, you need to be logged in as a teacher. Remember, if you have an admin and a teacher account, your URL should reflect teachers, plural, in order to get into your gradebook and your student information on the teacher side. When you set up a seating chart, you set up one for each class. So first I'm going to set up a seating chart for my homeroom class. To set up a seating chart, you can click any of these three buttons to get to the seating chart tab. I'm going to select this one right here, and I'm going to press cancel. As you can see, my seating chart is not set up yet, and this tab here would allow me to take attendance with using my seating chart. In order to really set up a nice design, you're going to want to go to this tab here, seating chart design. One thing I really like about the design is it allows you to save multiple layouts. So for instance, if you have a lecture day, you can create a layout just for that lecture day. If you have a project-based learning day, you could switch the layout to groupings of students. One thing that I like to challenge my students with is posting the seating chart once it is designed to the front board and giving students a roadmap to see if they can find their new seats. So on the days that I did do PBL, I could project this in front of my classroom and the students would know the expectation is to get in their groups. So to create a layout in PowerSchool SIS, you're going to first start with looking at, how you want to populate your students. So you can drag students in and scatter them about however you choose. But for me, I like to start with, and you can put them back, I like to start with laying out my objects in my classroom to give me a better visual. So I'm going to set my desk up, my front board, and my door. And this will allow students and even my substitute teachers to know kind of the orientation of how I have my classroom set up. So again, I could drag students into my classroom now, or I could populate them, and populating them takes a shorter amount of time. So I'm going to set up my rows first so that I can populate within them, and I'm going to do 4 rows, and I want 5 chairs per row. And they've already populated in. So they're not perfect. They're definitely orientated to the the left-hand side, but I can kind of move this. As long as it's highlighted in orange, it still works as a group. Once I deselect one of these and move it, it comes away from the group. So in order to move these as a group, you want to select them all. Now, I think if I hold down my control panel here, my control key, I can kind of select as a group and move. So I'm going to grab this group and move it over in front of my desk just to show that I have rows. Deselect this row, hold down the control key, deselect this row, kind of spread these out a bit. This one's going to go against the wall. Oops. Just in case my students, try to play me and think that they're going to be sitting directly next to their friends. Okay, so I have my rows shown, and for this instance, I know Kelly has a learning accommodation to sit right front row center. I also have a student that has a learning accommodation to sit in the back row so that he can move around, wherever he pleases. Shuffle these around. And again, these are fake students and fake information. So for these specific students, I know I need Scott back here. He is a paraprofessional and needs a little bit more space. Kelly needs to sit in the front row. The rest I'm going to populate in and just see what I get. So I can do random, alphabetized. I can also alternate between male and female. So whatever you want your classroom to be set up as, you can even change the display order as well. So for now, I'm just going to do alphabetizing. And again, I set up my students, I have less students than desks. So you'll see the 3 blank desks. And I could either remove these or I could, just leave them there as empty desks and just have that as a space between students. So once you're completed with your seating chart, and again, you can switch students around however you want. You just need to make sure that you save. So once you save, it's going to ask you my title of the one I just saved is called New Layout, and I can edit this and just say this is my lecture July 2019 style. And again, too, if I wanted to change this just a little bit, if I went in and pressed edit and pressed save as new for August, I now have 2 different styles. So maybe I do like the orientation of my desks. I just need to switch a couple people around for my next month. You could do that as well without having to recreate the work. So now that this is saved, you can go back in and take attendance through your seating chart. So you'll notice just switching tabs that now all of these students have a little arrow with a drop down of attendance. And it goes the same with the basic attendance. So if you leave it blank, it's going to be present. And if you change the attendance code to absent or tardy, you still have the ability to comment. Again, you'll want to select submit. And when I go back to the start page, I know that I submitted my attendance correctly because it turned green. So I hope that this helped you learn how to set up a seating chart and also take attendance through your seating chart. I think that it's a very useful tool and easy to print for substitute teachers and take attendance from.